I
And they
got
don't have pants on? Is that it?
Probably don't.
Uh,
Hey,
I heard,
hey
wait,
there.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
again?
Perfect.
You're down there in Florida. Yeah,
Yes,
right now?
sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. I'm actually house watching my kid's house right now. So his dog's in about sleeping. I don't know if you can see her on the couch.
I can. I thought it was a body.
Yeah, she'll probably come up here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm taking care of his place for a day, and he had to go do some business stuff, and so yeah. But how you guys been?
Man, I'll tell you, it's been wet. It's been very wet up here. It's
Really?
been raining nonstop for like the last, 8 days, 9 days, something like that.
Are you in Seattle? So where you at?
Just north of, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
When was the last time
Amazing.
you were up here?
Ooh, before the pandemic, I think we actually played in Seattle.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was probably in January or early February, something like that. And that was our last tour, So it was one of those, you know, everybody knows the whole story to that,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah. And then you guys just got boned on another show that you were going to do, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's never ending like kind of thing, I mean, until this whole thing kind of blows over, which is not really blowing over quick enough, but until that really starts happening, when people can go back out again, when they open up stuff, then we're going to be the last to come back, basically. But
Yeah.
but they're telling us there's dates on the site that are going to happen. So I'm just hoping that it's the next show that's up there. I believe I think it's May. I believe is the next show. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it's in Indiana or something. But
Oh, okay.
so we'll see. I don't know how open they are. I mean, Florida's open, so
Mhm. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
was just down there. Yeah.
if we had a show in Florida, we'd be fine. But unfortunately, there's no shows here yet. So, but yeah, but
Yeah. I was just down there. I think, what was it? Maybe about 3 weeks ago.
what part? What part were you at?
I was right over in your neck of the woods.
Were you?
You-
And did you hit me up? I don't remember.
I didn't, because we were
Oh.
there on an emergency, family and stuff. And
Sorry.
and I had thought about it. I was like, but it would have been dickish of me to skate out on family during a time like that. So I didn't, but I had thought about it. I thought about hitting you up and seeing if you wanted to go get some vegan food or something.
Yeah. Are you vegan? I didn't know.
I am not, but I'm willing to comply.
Good. It's good
Yeah.
stuff. I've really never told anybody that. Maybe I've told you that I've started doing the vegan thing, and I post stuff every now and then, but I really don't tell anybody, because, like, what you eat, what you eat, and what your religion and what your politics are. It's like everybody goes crazy over that.
Mhm.
It's like, so I don't talk about what I eat, what I do, and anything really. But yeah, I've been vegan for a year now, so I have cheated a couple of times, but I've
Mhm.
been a pescatarian for 8 years,
Mhm.
which means I only eat fish.
Right.
So, um, and after that, it was, that kind of changed everything, really. And then I own fish, so that's kind of one of the reasons why I stopped eating fish.
Right. Once you start to figure out they have a personality,
Dude, they're so
they're
unbelievable.
crazy. I used
Yeah.
to have an Oscar that was like, you know what Oscars are.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and they get pretty big, about the size of a shoe. And
Mhm.
and once they start getting older, they get about 2 or 3 years old. They start getting
Yep.
pretty smart, and they recognize people, and they know when it's dinner time and everything like that. You can get them
Oh
to ring a
yeah.
little bell to get fed. I mean, they're pretty smart little fish.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
I have I think we have about 7 or 8 koi fish now, and
Oh, nice.
it's gone. We had more, but sometimes they get sick. They'll get some kind of thing going on, or get a parasite, or
Mhm.
whatever. But
Do you have a
we've
problem
had
with
some of
ick?
them.
Do you have an issue
Yeah,
with ick?
yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
We've had a couple of things too. There's like they start the pine cone, they start blowing up a little bit. They get like a. But anyway, there's a couple of them in there that, like, they're so smart. I mean, I could pick them up out of the water. You know,
Mhm.
one of them's he's about, I can't even get him in the screen. You know, he's about 3 feet, 3.5 foot long with his tail, with his fins
Wow.
and stuff, and pretty good size around. He probably weighs about 30 pounds. Um, nice. I actually probably about a month ago, he gets in a skimmer, and when he does, he barely fits.
Mhm.
And I went and looked for him. I'm like, man, you know, we have a net over it so birds don't get, because we have these big birds that come in and get them.
Yeah, the
And
egrets and herons.
yeah, herons, yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like, where's he at? And I look in the skimmer and he's there, and I thought he was dead. And I like trying to pick him up, and he wasn't. He was lifeless. And then finally, I get him picked up, and he starts moving like he was. You know, I put him in the water, and I'm like, man, we're gonna lose him. You know, he's
Mhm.
one of my favorite fish, and he's fine. He's like a man. He's a tank, that thing. So he's pretty stout for a big fish, but he got blue and whatever. But anyway, that's enough about fish. That's why I don't eat fish anymore, because they're my babies. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's. I see where you're coming from. You know, I mean,
yeah,
once something becomes domesticated to you, and you know,
yeah,
which is funny because it's a conversation that I think Jason and I have actually had this conversation about. Um, you know, in a world scope, you know, when something gets identified as a domesticated animal, then it's like kind of taboo to chew on,
yep,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
you know, like here, of course, cattle are cattle, but you go to
yeah,
parts of India and they're, you know, it's a religious
yep,
animal that you
yeah.
know, hold in regard.
And
So,
there's parts of it. We were in India a couple of years ago, and it was um, it was interesting. I thought cattle were there. The cows were, they ate the cows. They
mhm.
ate everything. They ate dogs. They
Yeah.
I was like flipping out over that, because it was like, all right, I mean, you know, we're driving up to, I can't remember this place that we played up there, but it was on a mountain, big mountain. Took 3.5 hours to get there, and it was amazing. Like, people there are so amazing. They're so giving, and they have nothing. You know,
Mhm.
they give you anything they have, but they have nothing. And but we're looking over to the side, and it's like a little restaurant type thing outside, and it says dog meat special. I'm like, oh my gosh. Todd and I are like, we couldn't believe it. We were just like, flip that. But that's part of what they do. And you
Mhm.
know, my thing is like, hey, I grew up. Well, dogs are a different thing. I wouldn't eat a dog, but I grew up on a farm. I used to hunt. I used to do all that stuff. So I don't. It's not like I'm. It's just my decision. You can do
Mhm.
what you want. You know.
Mhm.
I mean, I've said, you know,
Well,
I sit down with people and eat steak, or I don't eat it, but they'll eat
right,
steak
right.
with, while I eat my salad
Mhm.
or whatever. I
Well,
mean,
you know, that's the adult way of looking at it. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Because you know, not everybody's the same. Yeah, and I respect that. You know, I mean, because life's too long, man, to be like
yeah,
that. You know,
yeah,
to be that
yeah.
guy.
But I feel totally different after not eating, after doing a vegan thing for a while. Like if I,
Mhm.
like for instance, I used to run a lot, and I haven't ran in so long. It's kind of sad, but I actually had to run. We left our car behind somewhere, and we forgot about it. Took an Uber home, and
Mhm.
or Uber back to the hotel. And I was like, oh man, I got to get the car. It's a mile away. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start running. So I started running. This is on a vacation last week, and I started running, and I did a mile in 8 minutes. Not too bad. And then
Nice.
the next day, I'm like thinking, I'm not gonna be able to stand up, and I get out of bed, and I'm like, okay, there's 1 foot. That's not too bad. There's two, and like, not really a problem. The second day, usually the third day, you start getting sore. I never really got sore. I mean, a little bit in my shins. I had the wrong shoes to run with. I had dress shoes, you know. So, but I was surprised that I didn't really get sore. And there's a show out there called Game Changers. That talks about that, how the repair time is quicker and whatever. I don't know if I believe all that, but it actually I wasn't sore, which was kind of
Right.
unbelievable.
Right. You
So,
know, I've my own theories on all that kind of thing, and I'm a very outspoken person. I mean, we're friends on Facebook. You see the kind of stuff I
oh
post,
yeah, 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 absolutely.
but and sometimes I should probably zip it, but I don't.
As long as you
But
haven't been, have you been kicked off yet? Have you been kicked off of Facebook?
I've been bounced a couple times. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I've been put in that FaceTime jail. Yeah,
yeah, okay,
but whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, it's I think a lot of it has to do with what's in the food, right? Because I mean, when you think about it, like my wife doesn't eat beef anymore. She'll eat chicken and she'll eat fish,
right.
and of course vegetables and fruits, um, and just about anything else. But myself, I'm very I'm very flexible, but I don't feel so passionate about one or the other that I'm not willing to, you know what I mean, be flexible
Right.
to other people. Because I tend to look at okay, like veganism in particular is a very how can I put this without being
Oh, go ahead.
okay?
Put it there.
It's a very one-sided social engagement. Like
Right.
because it's only one discussion you're going to have. It's like, okay, where's the one vegan restaurant we're going to go to, or the one of
Right.
the 15 that might be in town, or 50. I mean,
Right.
here there's tons of them everywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
they're starting to get better here, but it's not
yeah.
nothing
Oh man,
major.
there's some good ones out here. Jason
Yeah.
will tell you. Jason, we're totally leaving Jason out. Jason's a black screen because he's actually in his car waiting for his dog to get groomed, but
Okay,
he is on the
nice.
call. And
I am here.
What kind of dog do you have, Jason?
He's a 12-year-old Shih Tzu,
Oh,
and
nice.
he's getting a haircut for the first time. He's getting the lion haircut. So,
nice.
Cute.
so, so he did have the Fu Manchu. So he had the long beard shaved, coming off his chin with the furrowed brow, and so he's making the move now that that's grown out to a lion.
He's
That's
got a
awesome.
second lease on life. He's going to go out there, and the ladies are just going to be slain.
So yeah, that's the reason I'm blacked out, is because I'm gonna have to bail pretty soon to pick up the dog.
But are you going to rejoin us when you get back? You think, if we're
If you
still on?
got, well, if I make it back to the house in time, yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Seattle traffic.
But in the meantime, you were a vegan for many years.
Vegetarian in '83, vegan in '89, back to vegetarian in 2012 or 13.
Are you still vegetarian?
I'm still veg, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I have
And
an issue with dairy anyway. So it was easy for me to change over from that. But then there's a lot of stuff that's like non-dairy that's really good, like cheeses. You can't get real cheese. So obviously, it's not the same, but but it's okay. It's okay to put it on a sandwich or put something else on it.
yeah, I agree. That's and people. I'm sure they always ask you, what do you miss the most? And most of the vegetarians I talk to, they're like bacon. Like you can get fake pepperoni, fake chicken is actually really convincing now. The Impossible Burger, but everybody's like, there's no bacon substitute. It's just I don't
That's
really remember
true.
what it tastes like.
Yeah, I didn't have a
Salty, maybe.
problem. Yeah, it was salty. Yeah, I didn't have a problem leaving bacon at all. So I won't tell you why, but there's a reason behind
Okay.
it. But
Oh no.
seeing, yeah, no, but yeah, I didn't have a problem leaving that. But I mean, there.
Now, how
I,
do you deal with vegetarianism on the road?
oh, so here's the trick. That's a trick though. I haven't been a vegan on the road yet.
Mm,
So yeah, but I have friends that are vegan. Uh, Alyssa Whiteglass, which is she's a singer, and she was singing with Camelot for a while. She's a vegan, and she's actually never had uh, any kind of meat in her life. She'd never had a soda pop, or a Coke, or anything, or a drink of. I think she had a drink of alcohol, but that was with us, and we made her do that. But that's another story. But she's really never had anything like uh, any kind of meat, butter. that she knows. And, you know, if you go out to eat,
Wow.
they'll tell you, oh yeah, there's nothing in here. They'll, you know,
Mhm.
sometimes they'll put it in there, but so I've seen how she dealt with it, and I actually used to go out and I would eat with her, and I'd be amazed at how good some of the food would be. Even in we were in South America one time, and I went to a restaurant with her, and I was like, "There's actually a vegan restaurant in South America, in Brazil," you know, which is kind of funny, uh, but it was amazing. There was a lot of stuff on the menu, and so I've only been doing this since March of last year, and I haven't. I've been pescatarian. I did the fish thing. So every now and then I wouldn't. You know, if I didn't eat fish every day. So I guess I was vegetarian at that point. If it becomes an issue, it probably will. I'll probably just be a vegetarian and do that on the road. Um, Eddie Jackson is a cook. I don't know if you know this or not, but he's a not. I wouldn't. He's a chef. Like he's really great at what he does, like making dinners, and he loves to cook on the road and like on a tour bus or whatever. On the one-off dates, he can't really do that, but on a tour bus, he breaks out. He has a whole like air fryer and all these different, you know. I mean, it's a whole big thing, you know. We break out, and he's amazing. And he's the last tour we did, we had John Five, and John Five's a vegan,
Mhm.
and he doesn't only make food for the band for Queensryche, he makes it for the other bands too. The
That's awesome.
like there was another opening band
Mhm.
in John Five, and and so he had to do he did vegan food uh for for Five, and he was like, they were so amazed that this guy's actually making, and he would find out ways to do stuff on the internet or whatever. Kind of amazing that, you know, he just does that. That's his thing, you know.
Mhm.
You know, there'll be like 10 minutes till showtime, and I go, dude, you know, we're going on in 10 minutes. You're not even warming up yet. And he's like, my roast is simmering right now. I was like, you know, just hang on a minute. You know, like I go, no, but showtime's like, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll make it. And here he comes, you know, smelling like pork. but but
Smelling like pork.
yeah, yeah. But no, he's a great chef. Oh my gosh. I mean, and I've had some amazing dinners like that, you know, he's made that, yeah, just I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it, you know. But anyway, that's, and I'm sure, you know, when we do a ground tour, he'll watch out for me. He always does. He'll get the right stuff, and you know, because Parker actually was doing pescatarian too, so that was easier. So the rider kind of, you know, we would get stuff on the rider that way. So
Yeah.
it's always easy when you have somebody that's either vegetarian or, you know, that does the same thing you do. So then we can kind of eat the same way. So you know, he does that too. So, but his is more about diet instead of, you know, the reason why I do my issues or why I do it. But you know, it's all good.
You know, that's interesting you bring that up, because it seems so many musicians have some other creative outlet. John Five cooking, Bob Dylanson, I think, is apparently a really good photographer. Of course, John Lennon's artwork is incredible. What do you have another outlet?
I actually I started painting a couple of years ago, so I've been doing that. I It's something. I mean, I'm really good at drawing stick figures, but and honestly, it's been pretty. I mean, I started out doing like, you know, Bob Ross type stuff, and uh, taking, you know, just watching video and doing mountain scenes and whatever. And I got into oils and doing oils and stuff, and then I started doing. Actually, my son has a couple of paintings I did for him. I don't know where they're at. I haven't been upstairs yet, but but anyway, I started doing. I did a couple nudes for him, and like and stuff like that. So I've been doing different things as well. I've been selling quite a few. I started
Excellent.
doing like
Oh,
paintings on drum heads, you know, like on a 12-inch drum head, and I do it with acrylic instead of oil,
Right.
and people love it, and you know, and it's a good outlet for me, and it's kind of kept me alive for the last a few months, you know,
Yeah,
because
that's
of nothing
awesome.
going on. Yeah, so it's kind of cool. as you know, the printing business is all screwed up, right? For musicians anyway. I could probably print for, I think I
For
saw you.
everything,
Yeah,
man. For everything.
yeah. It's screwed up. The whole thing is screwed
Yeah.
up. So I did that as an outlet for a while, and I still do it. I still have the company. I actually did a print job today that went out in FedEx for Kid Cudi. I did the Super Bowl last year, not this one, which would have been cool if I'd done this one. I could have just dropped the drum head off and said, "Here,"
Right.
But yeah, but because it was in Tampa. But yeah, I did the one the year before that, and so I've done a few Super Bowls and all these drum heads, different. I haven't done wraps yet. I want to do that eventually. But I did my own kit once, I think.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, it's real fun when you have an acrylic kit
Mhm.
and you wrap them
Yeah.
and then you light it up from the inside. It looks freaking killer.
Do you have a preference between wood and acrylic?
Yeah, I like the wood better. Yeah, the acrylic is just something about, I don't know.
It's smacky.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that warmth of tone and timbre that wood has. I know I
Yeah.
totally hijacked you, but I had to throw that in there.
No, dude, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's like totally. But I've had a problem with the lugs on the bottom really falling off because I like a low drum anyway,
And they just
floor tom. It's just like sometimes I don't know why. It's just that it doesn't it moves different than a wood drum. I don't know. The air goes through it. Now I've recorded with some acrylic kits that sounded pretty good, like some vibe. What were they? Vibes kit,
Oh.
and they actually were pretty cool but it was the right music. It was
Right.
like it was old. It was uh, like old Beatles ish kind of sound. So it had that thud. It was a thud thing. I didn't really have a lot of
yeah, it wasn't very
tone.
lively. It was kind of flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so and that was perfect for it. And I noticed that with that kit. And it was actually the kit that I had that's acrylic was totally different. It was I had a friend that owned a drum company called Whack Drums. And now it's turned into Spinelli drums.
Hmm.
But he did these lugs and basically you only tune them from the top. There's no lugs on the bottom.
Right.
So it's completely free floating. It's got, like if you have 12 lugs, all the top will tune. So it kind of tunes the bottom too. So that kit sounded really great because of that system.
Mhm.
I would go with thinner heads on the bottom so I could get more of a tone. Like it's different. It was different, but it was a cool kit. It was a neat. I only toured with it on one tour. The Silverthorn tour, and I think it was only U.S. And but the kit I'm using now is pretty cool with all the stuff. And I have LED video heads, which are pretty cool. And it's it's a drum rack called the Lotus, which there's a local guy here in Tampa that Sean Lowry, he goes by Sawblade Head. He does all that stuff, and he does all the welding, and he's a drummer as well. And he did a thing called the Tree of Life. He had it at NAMM a couple times, and it's amazing. It's like just this whole. It looks like a big tree holding the drum kit. It's pretty cool.
Wow.
But
that
yeah,
rack you had was pretty freaking cool, man.
it's cool. Yeah, it's super
I
cool.
think the first time I saw it, I made some pithy comment on the picture, and I said something like, I hope your tech doesn't trip near that kid." That is a lot of sharp points, man.
Every time when like the stage hands will load that in, they're all like, "Gotta get your tetanus shot before you go with this thing." And it's serious. There's points on it. It's like I told Sean, I said, "Dude, I wish we could break it down smaller. It's pretty big."
I wish you could find a way to pipe dry ice through it.
Yeah. Well, we thought about that too. We thought about like doing ice, like it comes up like this, and flames shooting. But you can only do so much when you can't do flames anymore unless you get the fire marshal out and all that stuff. But yeah, dude, it's a sick piece of art. It's actually art.
Yeah, it's beautiful. He did a great job.
Yeah, it's sitting in storage now. I wish I had room in my house. Maybe I'll bring it over here to my kid.
It's almost like your Game of Thrones throne.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And now you play DW, yes?
Yes. Yeah.
You've been on DW
for a
for
couple years now. Yeah.
And you started with them when you were just with Camelot, or after you came with Queensryche?
No, I started touring when I started touring with when I started helping Queensryche out. We did a lot of one-off shows,
Hmm.
and all these places that we would go to and doing all these shows. That most of them had. Well, I would order the drum kit. I was with Pearl, so I would order that kit. A lot of times they would have the older version of it, or they wouldn't. A lot of the backline companies they only had DW, so
Hmm.
they ended up getting stuck on DW all the time, and that was kind of one of the reasons why I was like, well, I'm playing this stuff already, and I made the call. Actually, I think I talked to it was Thomas Lang, and he actually made the connection. He got me in touch with the people that to do it, and they've been great. They've been great for me, and I had nothing bad to say about Pearl because they were always great to me as
Right.
well. But
Well,
it was just I was just like I felt bad every time I'm showing up and I'm not playing so I was like, I'm just gonna make a switch because it was just costing more money in the end anyway. So
and for drummers that might watch or listen to this show, I'll let them know. Endorsees will let you know if you're gonna endorse a drum company's drum line. Always ask for lacquer shells.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Even though mine are not lacquered, the kit
Uh-huh.
I have now, but it still sounds great.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, because
great.
you always want to make sure you have the matching shells.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. That's true. You're right. You're right about that. Sometimes like it'd be like a jelly bean kit. You don't know what you're gonna get.
Right. It's whatever
I'm
was
fine.
laying out in the warehouse. Yeah.
I'm fine with that. It's like, all right, as long as they're the right sizes,
Hmm.
and I got two Chinas. That's a big thing. Two Chinas are more really important.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can't play Queensryche music without two Chinas. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Eyes of a Stranger is not gonna doesn't happen. So
And it's funny because that's Scott right there, right?
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
yeah. I was going to ask you. So, okay, so now, did Todd come to you, or did somebody else come to you and request you to come check out to be a part of Queensryche, or how did that work out?
So I was I'll have to back up from the time that happened. Um, there, we Todd and I were talking one day. We actually went out and saw Trans Siberian Orchestra, and
Hmm.
there's a photo that was just on Jeff Scott Soto's page. He posted, and it had a photo. It was me, Jeff Scott Soto, Max Levin, a couple other people, and Todd. And after that show, we were walking back, and he goes, "How's your gig going?" I go, "Well, we're off this year because they're doing a new record, and basically there's no gigs. He goes, "You guys don't do any like one-offs?" I go, "No, we don't do anything like Queensryche does. Like they
Hmm.
basically shows all the time except for the last year." But he's like, "Well, man, if anything ever comes up, I'll let you know." I'm like, "All right, like, yeah, that'll never happen. If Scott ever needs to take time off, I go, yeah, okay. He's been doing a gig for 30 something years. He's not
Hmm.
gonna, and I'm on a boat. I'm on a cruise ship with my wife for our 20-year anniversary, and I get a text, and I'm like, man, my phone's still on. I don't actually know it was a call. It was a phone call. It was from Todd, and I'm like, my phone's on. I go, do I answer it? Kim's like, I go, Todd, why is Todd calling me? He would just text me, and I answer it. I go, hey, dude, what's going on? My wife's looking at me. What's going on? We're out in the middle of free. This is an $8 phone call a minute or whatever it is. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm on a boat. I'm on a cruise ship or whatever. And he's like, he goes, do you have internet? I go, no, I didn't buy it because it's like $200 for the week, and
Right.
I don't even want to talk. I don't need to talk to anybody. He's like, I'll pay you for the internet. He goes, buy the internet package and get Viber, download Viber and call me back. I'm like, all right. So he goes, it's important. He goes, trust me, you want to call me back. I go, all right. So I'm like, download the internet package, get Viber. I'm like, okay, cool. Call him back. And he tells me, hey, Scott's girlfriend's having a baby, and he needs somebody to fill in on April the 1st, and probably a couple of weeks because probably stay home with the baby for a couple of weeks. I'm like, dude, it's right now. At that time, it's probably March 16th, 17th. And I think I got off the boat like a week later. I go, when I get back, I'm only going to have 8 days
Right.
to learn the songs. He goes, dude, you'll be fine. Just, and my wife's kicking me under the table, because Queensryche was my favorite band growing up. And
Mhm. Oh, so
when
you'd
my
studied
wife,
the material already, right?
well, it's not that I studied it because I went off to another area.
Oh, okay.
I was playing with a pop star and all kinds of junk, and then I went to Camelot, which is all double bass stuff. But so I was at that point going to say no because I was like, I don't have time to learn the stuff. And my wife's like kicking me on, what's he saying? What's he saying? I go, and we get off the phone. I go, let me talk to my wife and see what she says. And my wife Kim, we fell in love together listening to Queensryche. That was like one of our
Mhm.
Promised Land was our first tour or first show we had ever saw together. Like
Wow.
a couple of weeks dating or something. So I said, I just don't think I can do it. She goes, no, you're doing it. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, I'll throw you off the ship if you don't say yes. So I call Todd back and I say, okay, give me the song list. I'll start downloading and listening, like while we're laying out. And he goes, yeah, even when she's sleeping, like I'm like, oh God, okay. And of course, there's some songs there where I was like, well, there's like Digital, and like there's some songs on there that are pretty tricky. I was like,
Mhm.
some of the songs I knew, but there was some that I'd never heard, like some of the newer songs they were doing. So I was shaking the first night,
Uh-huh.
practically the first rehearsal. We did it without Todd. It was in a studio, uh, and it was at Uber Beats. I don't know if you know
Mhm.
Uber Beats over there in Jesse. So I'm in the I'm in the playing room, which is like a big, where the drums are set up, and they're all in where all the console is with all the speakers and everything. And so I'm by myself, and we're playing because we played a video and stuff. So there's a click track running, and then it doesn't stop. The whole show just keeps going. So we play through once, and I'm like, all right. So I got no feedback because they're all in the other room. I didn't even know. I'm like, maybe they're canceling the show. I don't know what. So I walk in there and they're putting the guitars away, and I'm like, oh, so you guys want to take a break? And Michael's like, dude, thanks for not wasting our time. I'm selling my house, so I'm just gonna take off. Sounds great. I'm like, are you sure? And Eddie's like, hey, I can stay around if you want to go over a couple parts. I know there's a couple parts that were hesitant. I go, yeah, there's this part. So we stayed for another 30 minutes, but we went through the show once, and then they were like, thanks for learning the material. And it's Eddie's like, it's about 90%. I mean, it was hard, it's like I
Mhm.
didn't have it lick for lick.
Right.
And so I mean, so then we went to go do the show. It was in El Cajon. I remember in April Fool's Day too. I'm waiting for Scott to show up and say, "Hey, just kidding," and and I would have been like, "Hey, thank God I got it." So I was like, man, I was like, in the back, dry heaving, try, whatever. And we get on stage to do the sound check, and it kind of hits me because they're all, Michael's standing, on my left, and Eddie's standing on the right. Parker's on his side, and Todd's in front. I'd never seen Todd in this band actually.
Mhm.
This is the first time this is like went on stage, and I'm like, we start off the first song. I think it was Digital for sound check, and I just couldn't play anything. I didn't even know how to hold a stick at that point. And I told Michael, and I told Eddie, I go, you guys got to turn around. You can't look at me while I'm playing. I goes, this is kind of like unreal because they're like, you were great yesterday. I go, yeah, but you guys, you can't look at me. don't look at me. I mean, like the whole show. I go at the show, you know, I mean, because this is like too weird. I mean, I've seen you guys 20 times
Hmm.
on the other side. You know, this is
Right.
freaking, dude. It was freaking me out. Like, and so I think we get to Mission, right? And Eddie's always the guys always walk back behind these screens, and uh, they joke all the time. You know,
Hmm.
yeah, you've seen them, and they're
Yeah,
just
I've
funny
been back there a
guys.
few times. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just funny guys that they're joking all the time, and while there's this videos playing or whatever, they're making fun of whatever whatever it is, and Eddie Eddie's on my right side, and I'm kind of standing back there because the long intro for a video, and he looks at me and he goes, like that. And Bender, our sound tech, they're all busting my butt. It's just, and then it was like, and we're laughing, and I'm like, oh my god, he said, yeah, like that, and he's like, dude, you got like 90% of it, man. He goes, he was very, I mean, and to have Eddie Jackson say that, and I've looked up to the guy for, I mean,
Mhm.
all my life, and that was a big thing for me. But and then after that, it was go back home and practice more, and because the next date I think was a month away because it was all like one-off shows,
Mhm.
and then that the rest is history. It'll be 4 years this just April, so I'm doing the same thing, so
Mhm.
but filling in.
Right. Now, did you find it difficult to sync up with Eddie cold like that?
uh Not really. I mean,
No.
no, I mean, he's pretty much he's a groover anyway. You can't
Hmm.
deny what he does. I mean,
Hmm.
I've definitely changed the way I've played since I've been playing with him so long. It's definitely changed to try to lock in more. I mean,
Hmm.
the system they have, the headphone system they have is pretty amazing. I have everything's mic'd, like all the drums are mic'd. I have guitar, two mics on each cabinet. I think one's direct, one's a mic or whatever. Then Eddie's bass, vocal mic, spare mics, whatever. And so I can sit there and control everything, and it sounds like, I mean, when they play like Operation Mindcrime, it sounds amazing, and it's
Hmm.
all, I've got it stereo split, and it's like if Parker's on this side, the guitar's on my right,
Right.
and Whip's on the other side, so it's on the left side. Then and Eddie's pretty much, he's a little bit on the right because he's on the right side anyway. So I
Hmm.
mix it that way. Then the drums are just as they go down. It's pretty amazing. It's unreal how it sounds, but it's that was one thing that blew me away because I wasn't used to that sound
Hmm.
playing with Camelot, because I kind of
Sounding
did my own
massive.
board.
Right.
Yeah, I did my board mix before uh, in Camelot. I would do, like, I had my own. It was crazy. I did this way before anybody else did in ears. I always put a kick drum or a kick mic in my kick drum, and it went
Hmm.
to my ears. It went nowhere else. The engineer would put another kick drum mic, and he'd be like, "Why do you have two kick drums?" Go, well, I want to hear my kick drum.
Right.
That's the main thing. And then I put it overhead, so I would kind of have a mix of my kit anyway, so I could
Hmm.
hear stuff, because I have these in ears that block everything out. Um, and then I started micing the guitar, and so then I'm carrying I had an endorsement, or I still do, with Soundcraft. So they had this little board that I could just carry, and it was digital. I used like my phone to do everything. So I started miking the guitar, I started miking the bass, I had the vocals in there. And then so everybody else is going, "Hey, we want your mix."
Right.
So the guys are stealing my mix, like, and the singer's got his own mix, so they're all working off my own board. Now they're doing the same thing as we are actually. Bender helped out the Camelot guys to get that system going, but it's pretty amazing actually. Sounds unreal, but yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine I would equate it to very similar to when you're sitting down in the studio and listening to your final mix, and you got the cans cranked and your eyes closed and you're just listening to it, and it just
Hmm.
sounds massive.
Yeah, I mean, it can get too loud too, you know. It's like that's the
Uh-huh.
bad thing about it. It's like you can hurt yourself with
Right.
it. But and I always like, I'm like, I got a wireless pack, which was funny to me to do that, but they were cool. They were like, no, you're fine. We never had them die, which I've only had maybe one issue, like and it'll let you know when it's going. It's like goes
Mhm.
away, you know. It's like, oh, okay, here, get it, you know, grab another pack. And Bender is our tech, and
Mhm.
he's like always Johnny on the spot with that stuff. He's amazing. So, but I mean, yeah, I've been using that for the last 4 years, and it's pretty crazy,
Are
pretty
you
cool.
guys still using Samsung wireless systems?
No, they got Sennheisers now.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Sennheiser. Okay.
and they had the Sennheiser set up when I moved in, when I started playing, and they uh they had to change it out because they got rid of a lot of frequencies.
Mhm.
Um, Sennheiser, they outlawed, I think, some
That's
frequencies
right.
because of planes, as the plane goes over my head.
Right.
Um, but they outlawed a lot of frequencies that you couldn't use. So they had to get a whole new system now. And I think Sennheiser hooked them up though, but still it was like one of those things. It's like, man, that sucks to get rid of all this stuff, but it's perfectly great, good stuff, you know.
Uh-huh.
But
You know, it's funny because you're talking about it was the FAA had went through and they wanted to take all those frequencies.
yeah,
And I remember when that happened because, of course, immediately all my wireless shit's out the window.
did
You
we
know,
lose Jason? Is he still there? You still there? You just hanging out?
Uh,
yeah, he's still here.
yeah, I'm hanging out. I will be cutting probably in 5, but I did want to fire a question your way. You know, when it comes to learning other material, you said you were listening offline. I was wondering, do you do you like getting the multi-track sessions where you can isolate somebody's parts? Does that work for you, or you
Yeah,
like to hear everything at once?
that would be ideal to get, like, if you could get multi sessions of like
Like
you know
stems or
what,
something.
yeah, like stems, yeah, like um I got the multi sessions for the last record that Todd played drums on,
Mhm.
that because it was easy, it was right there. I think I got one of another session or whatever, but and that was really, it was really cool because I could isolate the drum. And I go, oh, because it always sounds different because it's a little buried, you know. It's like, oh, there's a tom part, you know, like when he's chugging on a tom, you know. It's like, it makes sense now. It sounded like something else, like its parts are
Mhm.
missing, but it's kind of ghosting, you know, or whatever. So it's cool to have that. It's, you can get closer to the part that way, you know.
Mhm.
um the way I learned, like when I first went into it, is I just went on YouTube, and there was a show, the newest show, that somebody filmed every part of it.
Oh,
And I just went on YouTube and grabbed it. And so it's not a good mix. It sucked, you know, but I could kind of, because I wanted the guys to be comfortable enough. Like I wanted to play like Scott was playing at that point,
Mhm.
you know, and uh, and not try to just go learn all the parts like on the record, because he had played them a little differently, you know,
Mhm.
um, like live. So I kind of I didn't want to make him uncomfortable if I played something out of the way outside the park, you know. I didn't want him to go, what was that? You know, I kind of wanted to be comfortable a little bit.
Mhm.
So I even kind of still do that version of it anyway. It's kind of like that last thing that I learned. So, but yeah, it's much easier if you got full like tracks and okay, here's the, you know. But unfortunately, I didn't get to have the, you know, Operation Mindcrime stems. That'd be cool. I would
That would be
love
a
to
cool
have
thing to have
those.
on hand,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
yeah. I would like to mute and hear different parts because it's amazing. You know,
Mhm.
any of those tracks. Actually, I think I did get. I think we were playing uh, off of Promised Land, a song off of that, and there I got. Actually, I didn't. I only got the all the little crazy parts in there, the character stuff. But yeah, but I never heard the actual live drums. I'd like to hear them though, or the played drums.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, Scott and I did a project one time. I don't know if you ever saw it. It was the bootleg DVD where he performed probably 14, 15 Queensryche songs, and then just basically sunk the band way down in the mix, the drums way out front. And it's him up at I think it was the drum shop in Chicago, and
Okay.
just performing this stuff. And he brought in two, 3 remote cameras, set them up, kind of like the GoPro type setup. And but it wasn't GoPros, it was before GoPro. And
Yeah.
so they were probably handheld camcorders sitting on stands,
Yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah, he pulled it off. We threw the thing together. But what was really cool about it is the whole time I was working on that DVD, as I was thinking, as I'm authoring this thing, and I'm going, you know how many drummers out there would absolutely love to have this audio track I got in my hand right now?
Yep.
That's just straight drums. There's nothing else on it.
I actually want a copy of that. It doesn't have to be that. It could be just that DVD with it turned down and him playing. Because if there's songs that I'm playing,
I think I
could
still have it
answer a
on
lot
hard
of
drive
questions.
somewhere. Yeah.
It could answer a lot of questions.
If I still have it on hard drive, I'll give you a copy.
That'd be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's parts that okay, you can guess what that, but man, it's so his playing is so different than anybody. I mean, it's
Well, I heard it
amazing.
explained. Another drummer I was hanging out with backstage at a Queensryche show, and another drummer was talking about Scott, and he was going, yeah, and I'm not going to name names because that's not cool. But he goes, the thing about him is he doesn't quite hold a pattern all the time. He's like, most
Right.
people, most drummers, they get a groove, it creates a pocket, and then they stay there and then deviate where it's appropriate. And he goes, but it's like his parts change to fit the song all the time.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, yeah, you're kind of right.
His parts becomes it's the song.
Yeah.
I mean,
It becomes the song, right?
yeah. I mean, we were listening to like Warning, and it's just the parts are crazy. It's like it's amazing, but it just they're not average drummer parts. Like they're really thought out differently, and I like that. I mean, it's really cool. So, but it's amazing to try to pull that stuff off. Sometimes it's like it's way outside of what I'm used to playing. Like we'll play a song, and like IMI is a strange drum.
Yes.
It makes sense though, but it is a very different pattern, and but that actually wasn't as hard. I tell you what, the Whisper is actually a weird groove. That was one of the weirdest ones I've had to learn. That one, and
what was it about it that was throwing you?
it's just a weird. It's got this off hi-hat thing. Like a weird, like kind of a weird groove, and the ride pattern's pretty tricky too. The craziest one's been Surgical Strike, though. That's probably the one that really there's a lot of tonic counting in there.
And the drums are way out front in that track.
Yeah, and they probably didn't count. They were probably just that they just learned it that way, and didn't know, hey, this is a 5/8, this is 7/8, this here's like, okay, this is what it is, and I explain it to them. They go, "No, we don't do it that way. I just play it." And I'm like, whips. Like, I'm just okay. I gotta count it. So if it ends up right, it's going to be counted on my end. But yeah, so I mean, it's been a challenge. I mean, in a lot of these, what we'll do is we'll say, "Hey, can you learn this song?" And like by the next time we do a gig, sometimes we have a month in between or a couple weeks in between, and I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a crack, whatever. And we'll show up, we'll go through it on sound check, and we play it that night. So it's kind of like, hold on, put the big boy pants on, along with my diapers, because there's going to be a mess eventually. So that's kind of it's been I dedicate a lot of time to do it, because I don't want to screw it up. And that's the biggest thing for me is I don't want to go out there and show the world that I suck. I want to make this band happy as well.
Well, you don't want to show disrespect to the product.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I get that. It's funny. Hmm. I say this in almost every conversation I have, or whenever I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, I don't want to make this about me, but I'm going to tell you a story. And so one of those would be, okay, so back in the 90s, I used to play in a band down there in Tampa that practiced right across the same warehouses, but almost door across from door from Camelot. So we rehearsed here, Camelot
Okay.
rehearsed here. And so there was a little cross pollination. We go over there, hey, what's going on over there? That kind of thing. But I don't think you were in the group back then. If you were, I never really
Probably
got to
not.
meet you. But this is back in the 90s. And
Yeah.
but then the way that I got into that group, so the group that I was in was called Arsenal.
Okay.
And so, and we were getting out there. Well, they were getting out there before I got in. And so when I reached out because I wanted to audition for this group. I still did it that way. It wasn't like, hey, you guys should check out this dude. It wasn't like that. I wasn't that good. So I answered the ad, went out there and stuff, and I learned their whole CD, and oh god, it was like 12 songs or something like that. Learned it in like less than 2 days.
Wow. Yeah.
I went out there, went out for get the audition, nailed the audition and everything. And I had 2 auditions with them before going to Daytona Beach to do some big show. And so then I'm out here and I'm like, and it was probably maybe 10% of what you felt with Queensryche, because you delivered, you stood up, you learned it, you went out there, you fucking laid it down, and then the guys, nice job. You know what I mean?
Or more like this.
Or like that, yeah.
As
But
Eddie
it's such
was, but he was
yeah, he was joshing with you. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's such an awesome feeling of self-accomplishment, right? To have that work ethic and that desire and that drive to get it done, because
I
it's yours to
finally
do.
slept that night. It was like it was the 8 days of not sleeping, and then finally that night I just went to sleep, and I'm like, and
Right.
I think I took 2 days off when I got home, and then went back to work. Went shedded like 4 or 5 hours a day. The first 8 days that I was learning, I was doing 10 hours a day.
Mhm.
I was going through the stuff that much. One of
Did
my
you?
kids is a math kid. He explained it to me. He goes, okay, if you do 2 hours on a song,
Mhm.
you try to do 4 songs a day. We kind of figured it out how we could do it, and that's how I did it, and it worked.
Nice.
But yeah, so
Right on. Well, I wanted to ask you, and then and then we can talk as long as you want or whatever. But I did want to ask you, with Todd being I mean, he's a pretty proficient drummer. There's no
he's a
denying
great
that the guy's a killer
honestly.
drummer, um, and I'll tell you. So you asked about Uber Beats. Yes, I'm very familiar with Uber Beats, and I rented. Well, I want to say rent. Yeah, I did rent for a number of years. I was one of their very first clients, and I rented room number 14, I believe is what it was. It's about 2 doors down from Jesse's big room, and which we ended up moving into because he ended up becoming our drummer. But we were writing a song, and it's actually the intro music to this podcast now. And I was showing the guys this riff, and Todd and Whip come walking down the hallway, and Chris was with him, Zeus, and
Yeah.
and Todd goes, "What's going on in here?" And it's like writing the new tune, and he goes, "You mind?" And he reaches out to Jesse. Jesse hands him his sticks, and he jumps on the kit, and he just starts laying down this killer ass groove. And I was like, "Dude, you want in? you want to join the band?"
That's
It was
funny.
awesome. Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
and I imagine he makes you feel this way too. It's like you immediately feel warm with him as a musician. You feel comfortable immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, well, I knew Todd as a drummer before I knew him as a singer. I mean, he
Hmm.
was when he first joined Crimson Glory. I was like, "You sing?" I had no clue. I was
Especially
like,
after
I saw him.
midnight,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was like, and I knew Crimson. We toured with Crimson Glory when there's a singer named Wade Black
Hmm.
who was doing her stuff. We did a tour with him then, and I was like, I knew how high this stuff was, and I'm like, I saw Todd at a music store. I don't know if you remember Seminole Music down in
Hmm.
Seminole, and I was there watching a clinic or something, and Todd was there, and I'm like, He goes, yeah, I just joined Crimson Glory. I'm like, what? You know, what do you mean? You're playing drums? I go, he goes, no, I'm singing. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're singing. You don't sing. Little did I know. I didn't know.
Little did you
I didn't
know.
know. Yeah, I knew him as a drummer. I mean, and he's like he's my best friend. So it's like,
Mhm.
and it'll be like, you know, I'm open to like, dude, if if we're sitting there and we've been writing. I mean, there's no, everybody knows it's on the internet. So,
Right.
Blabbermouth gets a hold of it. So, I'm hanging out with the guys and, we're, playing along and, jamming or whatever. And, uh, Todd goes, hey, I got a cool idea. Here, come over here,
Mhm.
because it's better to have two minds go at it, and
Right.
work on something to try to make something great instead of
Mhm.
to not work on it together. So that's kind of my view. I mean, he'll play on sound checks. Sometimes I'll get the sound that I need volume
Mhm.
wise. He goes, do you mind? I go, yeah, come up here. I want a video it. I know video it.
Right.
Yeah, so it's awesome, man. I think it's great. He comes up to me, he's like, oh man, thank you so much. I needed to do that. He even has a microphone singing the parts underneath his arm as he's playing. It's like pretty crazy.
Have you guys
So,
ever thought about doing that live,
he,
where you
yeah,
both play drums at the same time?
well, we did have a couple years ago. We had an idea. We wanted to do like two kits and do a solo together.
Yes.
It's a little hard to get done right in some of the
Production
venues.
and all the kind of BS.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like kind of it eventually that it would be awesome to do that. But so we actually took I made him I did it and I didn't tell him. I don't remember if I told him. I think we had an idea to do it anyway. But so I had a floor tom. I cut it in half and I put it almost like two timbales together. But it was a
Mhm.
16 and 16. So that is low roaring floor toms, right? And mounted it on a stand. Put up a mini snare drum like they have. Uh, I can't remember who made it, but anyway, like this really cool little thing and a China splash type thing. So he could do, uh, he could do stuff with me,
Mhm.
and he actually played it. And we only did it for that tour. So that was super cool. He's actually jumped on the kit once, like at the end of Eyes of a Stranger. Um, and like he told me, I'm gonna come back and tap you and play, come back on the very end of it. Yeah, he goes, do you mind? I go, no, come on. It was awesome. So it was pretty, it's great to have that.
Mhm.
I love to watch drummers anyway. So
Mhm.
dude, I'm not, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not jealous. I mean,
Right.
or I'm not, like, oh, dude, he is better than me. I don't care. It's like one of those things. I can do stuff that he can't do, and he can do stuff that I can't do. So there you
That's
go.
pretty subjective, though. Yeah, because exactly that. There's things you can do that he
Yeah,
can't, and vice versa. And I'm
yeah,
sure
like
there's things that
with bass. Yeah.
yeah, and I would imagine he's probably going, man, I'd like to pick up on some of that sometime.
Oh yeah, he tries to steal it from me.
Right.
Yeah, I give him hell about it. But we enjoy each other's company with stuff like that. I
Mhm.
mean, he'll send me drum videos all day long with these, like different guys
Check
playing,
this dude out.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I've already seen it. I know the guy. He's like sends me Eric Moore's video. Eric goes, look at this guy. He's amazing. He played. I'm like, yeah, he's a buddy of mine. We should hang out with him one time when we were out in
Right.
L.A. He goes, you know him? I go, yeah. You won't show me any drum licks though. No, you would.
You ever hang with Tim Young?
I've met Tim a couple times. Yeah,
He's a
like
great guy. Great
yeah,
guy.
great guy. Yeah, he
Amazing
actually.
drummer.
Yeah, he's super sick. He used to. I don't know who he endorses now, but he used to endorse D Drum. So I
Mhm.
met him a few times here. D Drum has their main office here, and I met
Yeah.
him a few times. And
They're still over by the airport. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Elliot passed away a couple of years.
Mhm.
Actually, it's been 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
I used to work for Elliot years
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
Where at? At
At the K-pop tree.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I worked
Wow, you
there
worked
and
there?
uh-huh. Yeah, I
What
worked
year
right
was
over
it?
the piano showroom,
Oh my
and that's
gosh.
where my
What
office
year
was.
was it? What year
Oh
was it?
god, you would ask me that, 95 to 98? I
were
think.
you selling stuff then?
I sold a Gibson. Oh, what was it? An acoustic, a really nice high-end acoustic.
Uh-huh.
I can't believe I can't remember what it was. To Juliette Lewis, but that
Oh
was the only
yeah.
sale I ever did.
What were you doing in there in the
Uh,
office?
Graphics. I was doing all their
Okay.
advertising,
Oh,
local and national
oh,
advertising.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it's funny because Elliot, um, a lot of people only know Elliot a certain way, and when you
Yeah.
work with Elliot, you see a different side of him. And
Yeah.
and it was interesting because I'll share this quick story. Is generally people like him are not very flexible. You know what I mean? They know what they want, they know what they're doing, and they know what their outcome's going to be. And if you get in the way of that, they'll generally let you know, right?
Mhm.
And Elliot was kind of that way. And so when I took over advertising, there was a gentleman there that did advertising for Elliot for years. His name was Martin Rice. I don't know if you know Marty. He played in a band called Joe Pop, bass player,
Well,
punk band.
no.
But anyway, Marty was a really good guy, and he did all these local and national advertising. And when he was going to step down, he's like, "Well, you just came out of design school. You want to take it over?" I'm like, "Sure." Well, didn't quite work out that, but it worked out. So, anyways, I take his office, and very first ad I do, I put it out. Elliot comes into my office and he goes, "What is this?" And he lays the paper down in front of me, and it's the ad. And I was like, "Well, that's your ad for this month." And he goes, "Is it now? I don't think I ever want to see anything like that again." And I was
Ooh.
like, "Oh, okay." So then I started working on the next ad, making it look like Martin used to do, right?
Right. Right.
And as I'm working on it, the mail comes in, and it's the reader response cards from the magazines having to do with the ad that I had placed.
Oh
And the
yeah.
number was up like 300%.
Oof.
So I go walking into his office, Mr. Cocky Italian, I go walking in there and I lay down the reader response cards and he goes, "What's that?" And I said, "That's your month's reader response cards." And he's like, "Huh, 300% increase, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, not bad, huh?" And he goes, "Do what you're doing."
Keep doing what you're doing. That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. And he just let me run with it. And he never questioned it again. I never
Yeah.
had another problem with him.
I,
And
I knew I knew Elliot as a couple different things, like as an artist, like
mhm,
because well, as a musician,
as a
because I
bass player,
endorsed.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as me being on endorsing his
Mm,
product,
mhm,
like because I was a D drum artist for a while,
right.
and it was my first drum endorsement actually, and he was always super nice to me. Obviously because I was an endorsing artist for him,
Mhm,
and I was I was a nobody, but he didn't act like that. Like he
right.
was always very respectful. And then I started a drumhead company, and he gave me some amazing advice about that
Mhm,
because it started happening pretty quick. Uh, I got my first artist, I got my first endorser, like,
mhm,
and I was like, man, I can't believe this. He's like, goes, man, you got to make him pay. I go,
mhm,
oh man, it's like he plays with Madonna, he plays all these. I go, he goes, hey, and of course that's the only guy that I don't charge because he was like the first, and
right.
he built it up so big anyway. Brian's, he'll post something and I'll have 10 sales the next day.
Right.
So, uh, so I eat all that,
Mhm.
whatever I make,
He's worth it. Yeah.
yeah,
He's worth it.
he's my first big artist, and he's like the guy.
Mhm,
But Elliot was like, that's the only guy that, because he told me, he goes, you're a small company. I go, yeah, one. he goes
mhm,
he goes he goes if we even call it a company at this point. He was bold with that stuff. It was
mhm,
like Shark Tank. He goes, here you got, what'd you make this year? Oh, $500. You're not a company. But
right.
like that was the thing, like so. I learned so much from him, and he actually helped me out a lot with product. Even he was the guy, I've got a couple of deals with D-Drum that I still purchase stuff
Mhm,
from them.
mhm,
And he before he went away, he was like, don't ever charge any more than this for that, for him. This is his deal,
mhm,
you know this is written, like this is as it is. and it's been solid like that, you know, for the last 4 years. I mean, I miss him as a person. I last time I
Mhm.
saw him, well, I saw him a couple times before he had passed, and I saw him at the shop, and his son's Evan's
Mhm.
running the place now. But I saw him there at the shop, but I saw him before, probably a couple 3 weeks before. He was out watching the band play at the Hard Rock,
Mhm.
and I was playing at the Hard Rock with a local band in the lounge area, actually like the front main, whatever. Now it's changed. They built on a new thing, whatever.
Mhm.
But so I was playing there, and I had a kick. I had this little traveler kit, you know, like a little 6 inch by 20 kick drum. Is a pearl kick drum, right? Had that, ride cymbal, crash, hi hat, snare drum. That's it.
Wow.
And he came. You know, you could stand right near you. You know, like you standing there, and I'm playing this thing, and we're playing all this, and I could turn it off and on the snare drum to make it sound like a tom. I'm work it, you know, I work the hell out of it to make it sound like a bigger kit.
Mhm.
And he called me the next day, and he goes, "I've never seen anybody play a drum kit like that. Like two drums and like just I've never." He goes, "That's it blew me away." And I wasn't with his company.
Mhm.
You know, he was just that kind of person that
Right.
and he never tried, hey, you want to come back? He was never like he said there's an open door. Obviously when I left, he called me and said, you know, hey, if you ever want to come back, it's open door always. So,
Mhm.
you know, that kind of thing. But and we still did business together with other product that I bought from, you know, and stuff. So
Mhm.
you know, so we had a relationship. But I was just so like, oh my, you know, you know everybody. So I mean,
Right.
you know, like you know all these guys. Carmine's like your best friend, whatever. I mean, you know, I've never seen anybody play like that. To make it musical on two drums, you know, and I'm like,
Right.
hey, you know, I'm I'm trying my best because I don't want to carry the rest of the shit in here. And that's pretty much it. But yeah, I miss him. I miss old Eddie. He was a good guy.
Because how long have you been in Tampa? Pretty much your whole life, or?
No, about 20. I've been married probably 28 years now. Yeah, we just celebrated our 24-year anniversary, 26 together. So I was here 2 years before that. It's 93, I think I moved here, 92 or 93.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
So chances are we played the same stages.
oh yeah, probably.
I'm
Well,
sure of it.
I was
Rocket
in the
Club,
house.
Volley Club.
Well, I never played. No, I was in a top 40 band. So I had the house gig at the Adams Mark
Okay.
on the beach
Right.
on Clearwater Beach,
That's a pretty
and I
sweet
played.
gig.
Yeah, I played there from 90, either 92 or 93, whenever I moved here,
Mhm.
to 2000. They toured down in 2000, and then we went to Shepherd's, and we were the house band for I think about another 6 years.
Mhm.
So I mean, it was like 6 days a week. I think Shepherd's was 5 days a week, but we played like 6 days a week at the Adams Mark, and
That's a nice
it was
paycheck.
yeah. Well, back then it was yeah, it was okay, you know, uh, but we it was like two girls, I think four guys. It was a six piece, I believe, something like that.
Mm.
And the whole dancing, whole you know, playing Miami Sound Machine. I didn't play metal back then, so yeah. But yeah, and then I started playing with Camelot, and it was like, "Can you play double bass?" I'm like, "Sure." I didn't play double. Play top 40. I had a double pedal on there, but I never, you know what I mean? It's like
Right.
so the first song's 170 BPM all the way through, and I'm like, going, okay, here we go.
It's kind of
You know,
like when we mentioned Tim Young earlier. It's kind of like
yeah,
watching
yeah,
his world's fastest BP. Have you seen that video on YouTube of his feet?
yeah,
And it's
absolutely,
like
yeah,
896 BPM or something
yeah,
like
it's
that. You're just
stupid,
going,
yeah,
oh my God, come on. What the
it's like
you,
ridiculous, yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta have a masseuse come in and work your thighs after a
No,
night like that, man.
I don't have those chops anymore. Since I played with last 4 years, because there's not as much double bass in the Queensryche stuff. You know,
Mhm.
there's a couple of songs that might have 8 bars of it, and that's
Mhm.
about it. You know, but yeah, I don't those chops. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. I did a. It's not out yet, but it's going to be out. I believe this year. It might get pushed. Who knows? But it's a video game with a lot of metal guys on it, and it's basically like when you play the game, uh, the music changes. I guess it kind of changes what you're doing. So I think I had to do a ton of music. It was like 30 songs or something. I can't remember how many it was, whatever.
Wow.
And a lot of it had blast beats in it. It had it was all kind of spectrum of every kind of music you could imagine, you know. So that's called A Bird in Cage, I believe is what it's called.
Hmm.
But
And is this going to hit the shelves or?
yeah, I think it's going to be like PlayStation, Xbox, all that stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But,
Anything else you're working on that you want people to know about?
there's stuff I can't talk about, but you know, other than that,
Yeah. Well, you
you
guys
know,
are in writing right now anyway.
yeah, that's like, yeah, everybody knows about that. I'm just kind of
Everybody
hanging
knows
out.
that, and I'm not going to say anything more about
Yeah,
that.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I just, yeah, I'm just hanging out, you know, and you know, if we're, you know, I'm just playing some drum parts on, you know, we'll see what the next step is. You know,
Mhm.
I'm happy that I've been here this long, you know, and done what I've been doing, and it's been amazing. I'm hanging out with great people. I really enjoy their company, and if they keep me for another few months, I'm happy with that. So you know, it's all for me. It's been a ride, so
Mhm.
I'm happy with where I'm at with it. So.